The build here just behind me came to £275. It contains a GTX 1660 Super, Ryzen 5 2600X, 16GB of RAM, and a 500GB SSD. Today we're going to find out if we can still play games in 2025. We're going to start off with Fortnite and see what sort of experience we can expect. So just quickly we'll go over the build. So the actual case here is from Vita. As you can see, it comes with 4 RGB fans. Now I don't think they are any good, if I'm honest. The airflow does not seem to be very impressive from them at all. And also this glass panel at the front does seem to hinder the actual cooling performance, but it is what it is. Now, the start of the show obviously is the GTX 1660 Super here, and this one is from Asus. It's the ROG edition, which is very, very nice. 2 sticks here of DDR4 8GB RAM sticks. These are from HyperX, and they come with the RGB lighting, which you can control through software. Now the fans on here, the RGB, they're controlled through the reset button here, which is not too bad. Some cool effects here and there. Yeah, the motherboard is just a B450M from ASRock, so nothing crazy. And obviously we are rocking the stock cooler from AMD. Now the total of the build came to £275, as I said, which is not too bad at all. So let's jump into some games. Okay boys, we are jumping on Fortnite and we are playing in 1080p on performance mode with the view distance set to far, which is pretty much standard for Fortnite these days. And this is probably the game that you're going to be playing if you are playing with this sort of budget. So at the moment we are in Crime City and we are getting about 160, 180 FPS, which is not too bad at all. Now obviously if we had a bit more of a powerful CPU, we would be looking at the FPS going a little bit higher, so something like a 3600X would help. However, I paid £20 for this CPU, so I can't complain at all. So is it a playable gaming experience? Well, 100%. You can definitely enjoy Fortnite and esports titles at this price. Obviously, you are not going to be playing the latest and most demanding titles in ultra settings. You can absolutely forget about that. But, you know, you need to be realistic with yourself. You need to know what to expect from the money that you're spending and what you can get. So, obviously, if you do hunt for some absolute bargains, you can maximize the FPS from this build. So right now we're getting about 200 FPS now that I've moved away from Crime City. And it's a pretty stable gaming experience. I mean, I can't really complain. I mean, I could definitely play in this. I've got no issues playing in this sort of FPS. Obviously the game doesn't look great, let's be honest, but it's performance mode. That's the whole idea. Maximize the FPS at the sacrifice of the visuals. But most people playing this game will probably be playing in these settings if they're buying a gaming PC anyway. Okay guys, and we are now jumping on Warzone. We are playing in 1080p once again, and we are playing on the balanced graphics preset with no upscaling or frame gen at the moment. So we're going to see how it performs. So this is basically native 1080p, and yeah, let's see what happens. Okay, now at the moment we are getting 60 FPS, we're getting 66, 65. And I'm not really sort of experiencing any dips just yet, which is interesting. 75, 80 FPS, okay. I mean, it's not a bad experience at all for 1080p native, without any upscaling whatsoever, and with no frame gen. If you're happy with a 60 FPS gaming experience on Warzone, then this GPU and CPU combo will definitely do you well. The game is definitely playable. You can definitely play it. Oh, what a snipe. Let's go, boys. Let's go. Right. We'll take it. We'll take it. We're going to enable AMD frame gen. We've got FSR. We are hovering on around that 100 FPS mark at the moment. So we've got 103, 105. And occasional dips into like the low 90s. But there's definitely been an FPS gain. So obviously with frame gen, some people are going to notice the input lag. They're going to notice the difference. No, we are getting 100 FPS. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Okay, so how much I've spent on every single part, let's have a look. So we've got the motherboard here, which is the ASRock B450M. So I paid £42 for that, but that is brand new. I could have gone for an A520 M motherboard and probably saved a little bit more money there. But I thought for a brand new motherboard, why not? Ryzen 5 2600X on eBay, £22 used with the cooler, which is actually not a bad price at all. GTX 1660 Super, again used, £104, and I think I paid quite a lot of money for that. I think you can probably get these for about £80 to £90 at the moment. Corsair VS 550, again that was new. It's a budget PSU, but it does the job. $34.23 for that. Case here is the Vita Lucid Black, which I actually get from my supplier, brand new, £31, decent. The RAM here is a HyperX Fury 16GB DDR4, 3200 megahertz, £22 again, used, but nice and cheap. And the SSD, 500GB again, used for £22, can't complain. 2160 to be precise. But yeah, the total actually, because it just does like a rounding thing here for some reason. But yeah, total, as you can see, £276. So, okay, could be a bit of a clickbait title because I said 265. So, not bad at all. Now, I think you could probably get this build for under £250 if you really wanted to, because I was a little bit impatient. I grabbed the motherboard brand new for £42 and the PSU. If I went for a used PSU also, then I could have probably saved a little bit more money and gotten the total for under £250. But I am flipping PCs at the moment, so I didn't want to wait around. I didn't just want stock sitting around, you know, waiting for a deal. And also, I don't really like the idea of used PSUs. I know some people say out there that, you know, it's completely fine, absolutely nothing wrong with it. I just personally don't like the idea, especially if I'm selling it to someone else. So for me, it's important that I know that the PC that they're getting is going to be nice and stable. Okay, so you might also be thinking, well, if I can't get a GTX 1660 Super on a deal, what other GPUs should I hunt for at this sort of price range? So I would definitely recommend a RTX 2060 if you can get it, again, under £100, then they are really good budget GPUs. If you can spend a little bit more, the RTX 2070 will give you a lot more performance for the money. And if you want to consider AMD, I would probably only consider the RX 580 at this point, although that is not a great GPU in 2025, if I'm perfectly honest. It runs quite hot, so you are going to need pretty decent cooling and also spend a little bit more on a PSU. So for £275, is this a bad gaming PC? Well, not at all. We've got the GTX 1660 Super, which if you can manage to get for less than £100, you can definitely have a good gaming experience with older titles and esports titles. Obviously, you've got to have some expectations. You're not going to be playing the latest games on Ultra, 1440p, forget about that, but you can still have a good time, and it's a great foundation for upgrades in the future. As we are on an AM4 platform, you can upgrade a CPU as far as a Ryzen 7 5800X3D, and obviously the GPU can also be upgraded, same with the SSD and same with the RAM. So plenty of upgrade options for later down the line. And if you are on a strict budget, I would say this PC would definitely do you well until you can afford some upgrades here and there. So for £275, is this a bad gaming PC? Well, not at all. We've got the GTX 1660 Super, which if you can manage to get for less than £100, you can definitely have a good gaming experience with older titles and esports titles. Obviously, you've got to have some expectations. You're not going to be playing the latest games on Ultra, 1440p, forget about that, but you can still have a good time, and it's a great foundation for upgrades in the future. As we are on an AM4 platform, you can upgrade a CPU as far as a Ryzen 7 5800X3D, and obviously the GPU can also be upgraded, same with the SSD and same with the RAM. So plenty of upgrade options for later down the line. And if you are on a strict budget, I would say this PC would definitely do you well until you can afford some upgrades here and there. But guys, that's it for the video today. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you could drop me a like down below and also consider subscribing to the channel, that would massively help me. And we are going to be doing more content like this. And I am also considering a new series where I will be flipping gaming PCs until I buy my dream car. So I really hope you can join me on that journey. I think it's going to be a long journey, but it's going to be a really fun journey. So plenty of learning along the way. I've been flipping gaming PCs for about 7 to 8 months now. So I think I've managed to get a hold of it a little bit, but the market in the UK at the moment is quite difficult, so we never know what's around the corner. We'll see what happens. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.